So, Jungleboy challenges Kenny Omega for the AEW World title. We also have some stipulation matches set up for their first live show in Miami. And I did not know this, but next week they are also live at Daly's Place, finishing out their run there. I thought they were taping the show, but it's going to be live. And I thought we had a pretty newsworthy show. I thought this show was very well paced. That was one thing that really stood out for me, and where they placed the commercials made sense.
Yeah, during the heat, almost every time. Yeah, I thought it was a very good show. I thought the main event was excellent, and there was some other good stuff, and they're building to some good stuff. Yeah, live show next week. MJF and Sammy is the main event, right? That's going to be pretty awesome, I expect. And we've got Bucks against Kingston and Penta, and in their the TNT title match with Miro and Pillman Jr. This was a good show. I don't know, man. If they were going to do a live show next Wednesday anyway, I wonder if it might have been smarter to save the Omega Jungle Boy match for that show, since it's in the regular time slot. But I don't know. Maybe did they have like a strong lead in for this or something? I don't know.
I don't know. It was at 8 o'clock, so it was at least at a normal time. So that probably helped. I think they did decent the last time they went on Saturday, when they moved it to a Saturday, and they were okay. And considering that the entire country is in the middle of a heat wave, there's probably not a lot of people going outside when it's 107 degrees out in the in the Northwest. So, maybe people decide, I'm going to stay inside and watch TV instead. Because that's what I decided to do, because I'm like, screw this temperature. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
There were a few other things that happened on here. It was kind of there's a few things that didn't make sense, and we'll talk about those. We kind of have some continuity gaps or some storyline drops that we can discuss, because there's a couple we gotta talk about there. So let's get into this and introduce the show. You're listening to the That's Wrestling podcast. If you're listening to this as a podcast, we do this show live over on YouTube and Twitch. We tend to do it the evening after whatever show we're happening to talk about. So it is a Sunday night after the Saturday night Dynamite. We will be back on Thursdays once again, once AEW goes back to Wednesdays. We also cover New Japan stuff, which is all over the map because their schedule is all over the map. I'm not sure when we'll be back next, because the next big show isn't for a while, I don't think.
Think July 10th and 11th are the two shows in Sapporo.
Yeah.
The next, there's a double shot in Sapporo and a double shot in Osaka. I imagine will be somewhat significant shows, but the next big show is Tokyo Dome on July 25th.
Right. So yeah, we'll probably be back sometime after the Sapporo shows, and then we'll come back after the Osaka probably. We'll see what actually takes place on those shows, if they're even worth talking about. So we'll see. I'm guessing there probably will be some title matches to talk about.
And they also announced two shows in early September at MetLife Dome, which it was formerly the Seibu Dome, where the 2014 G1 finals were, in Tokorozawa, a little bit outside of Tokyo. But yeah, they're doing a double. I wonder if they weren't able to get another date at Yokohama Stadium, because they haven't announced anything for that.
Yeah,
but we do have Shingo and Kota Ibushi at the Tokyo Dome, and yeah, I'm down for that.
So if you are listening to this, you can follow the links in the show notes to the YouTube and Twitch to watch us live. Comments, questions, feedback, and send those to Eric at that'swrestling.com. You can follow us on Twitter at that'swrestling1 with the number 1. You can follow Trae at WrestleIsm on the Twitter as well. Also, our buddy Daryl is still doing his fundraiser for concussion research, so the link for that is in the show notes. That has been extended I think till October. So he's doing that. So if you're interested in that, you can follow the links there. And there's a Discord in the show notes as well if you want to come hang out with us. And once again, back with me is Trae Wisecarver. How are you handling the heat in Texas?
Staying inside.
Because it is 92 degrees here in New Hampshire. So
Man, that's pretty extreme for New Hampshire.
Yes. And it's going to be in the 90s for the next 4 days in a row. So hopefully my garden will not be completely scorched by the end of this week.
Hopefully not.
All right, so let's get into this show here. They actually opened it up with a video from earlier in today, and it was Alex Marvez. He says he is waiting for Sammy Guevara, and then he's like, oh, there he is. It's like,
convenient.
Okay, this is a little contrived right here. Be like, I just saw Sammy arrive. He should be coming this way any second now. Here he is.
In Marvez's defense, he is not very good.
Sammy is walking. They're walking between two tractor-trailer trucks. So they're walking between, and Sammy's like, come on, walk with me. And he just about starts asking him something, and Sean Spears is at the end of one of the trucks. So as soon as they clear the two trucks, Sean Spears whacks Sammy from behind with a chair, says it's courtesy of MJF.
I thought this was good. I thought it was cool.
One thing shouldn't have they opened that, hey, Jungle Boy and Kenny Omega are fighting tonight? Wouldn't that be the correct opening for something like this?
I would think so.
And this is this after the first match or something like that.
Well, you could have done, hey, tonight's our main event, and then because they threw it to they said it was a pre-tape earlier today. They could have run down the card. They could have also
buffered it with doing the opening with Kenny Omega and Jungle Boy getting ready for their match. Do the opening credits. So they do a cold open to Jungle Boy and Kenny Omega, do the opening credits, and then do this.
Yeah.
That would have been fine too. Anyways, while it was live, the stands were pretty sparse. The lower section had barely anybody who was not... it would technically be to the left of the hard cam. So the hard cam was facing the stage. So if you were sitting facing the same direction as the hard cam, the section to the left was full. But if you were to the right of the hard cam, there was nobody there. And the upper decks were completely blank.
Another COVID surge. Maybe that's...
Well, that, and they've also been in Daly's place for over a year now. But this is kind of one of those things that's just throw the tickets on there for $10. Then you just fill the place up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's better than having an empty place. But even the crowd that was there was pretty damn loud. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we start off the night with Powerhouse Hobbs versus Hangman Adam Page. Taz on commentary, though I really didn't pay attention to Taz for the most part. Hangman takes the beginning all the way. Hobbs bails when Hangman was going to go for a buckshot lariat. On the outside, though, we get Hobbs working over the arm in the barricade. He actually pulled the sign or apron, whatever you want to call it, the covering that the AEW logo off of the barricade and twisted his arm through the rungs. Hobbs keeps working the arm when they get back into the ring. He goes for a Vader bomb. Page gets his feet up. Hangman misses a spear, runs right between the turnbuckles, hits the ring post, and he actually hit the top of his head and cut himself open on the top of his head because he was bleeding pretty well, but he has enough hair pretty much soaked up all the blood, so I'm sure that needed a couple stitches or two because that would have been a jagged wound and a half that would not close very well.
Yeah, it was in a good spot. It's not gonna disfigure your face.
Yeah. Page starts to make a comeback in the ring. He hits 3 running boots in a row, hits a springboard lariat to Hobbs, who is standing out on the apron, hits a crossbody to the floor, back into the ring, hits a moonsault off the top to a standing Hobbs, so I guess it is technically a moonsault crossbody, or something like that.
Moonsault body block, I would say, but
he only gets a 2 count there. Hobbs runs him over, though, with a lariat once they get back to their feet. Hobbs misses... I wrote he misses a headbutt off the second rope. Oh, yeah. He climbed up the second rope and he did a diving headbutt. I should have written that part. Massive lariat from Hangman for a 2 count. Hobbs blocks the dead eyes and hits a running crossbody for a 2. Then we have Starks and Hook. They make their way out to the ring. Starks has the FTW belt. And then out comes Brian Cage behind them. He retrieves his belt and runs off Starks. Starks runs to the back. And then I liked how this worked because you had this distraction that you think would cost Hobbs, but Hobbs just turned right around and hit a massive spine buster. So basically this distraction was completely null, which I liked. Actually, they did this twice on this show where
that was so cool, and the camera halfway missed the shot. It's like they were shooting it, and then they went to another camera, oh shit, we're about to miss something cool, and they caught it. Hobbs had already halfway caught him, and then they turned back to the camera and he caught the rotation. But yeah, that was a really cool spot.
Yeah, and hits this massive spine buster, but again, he can't follow that up. He goes for a 2 count. They stand and trade forearms. Hangman hits a German suplex, picks him up, hits the dead eyes, and gets the victory here. I like that they are now building up the dead eyes as a finisher as well, because I think Hangman's hit the dead eyes a couple times in AEW, but was not for the finish.
It was his finish early, and then once they started doing Dynamite, the buckshot lariat got over real big. But when he was
in New Japan, Deadeyes was his finisher.
Yeah, and that's an awesome move. Beach break, axe guillotine driver, whatever you want to call it. It's an awesome move.
Mm-hmm.
My commentary on this match is I got a lot of good to say about Will Hobbs. Man, he's really coming along. And I imagine that he's been having some coaching sessions with Mark Henry or Paul White. Someone has taught him how to sell on the run, the way a big fucker like him should. And the portion of the match that he was in control, he looked more comfortable. And that guy just... The moment you saw that guy, you're like, that's somebody. And putting him in this role and having him... he had a great story as a babyface, but him working as a large heel and working with really incredible baby faces, he's gonna come a long way quickly.
Yes. He's definitely been doing really well. Lots of improvement. I mean, he has been wrestling for 10 years, but now, once you get just those few little, finishing touches from a guy like Dustin, Big Show, Mark Henry, then he could be a player, and we'll see how he goes. He hasn't really talked that much, so we'll see how that goes. But I've listened to him on multiple podcasts of interviews. He's well spoken, so I'm sure he can get that over too.
He's looking more and more like a big league talent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we have this is where we do hype up the Jungleboy and Omega match. Nice little video package. Excalibur is talking about how it seems Kenny Omega is unraveling a little bit. Mentions that the last time AEW was on Saturday was the night that Brody Lee destroyed Cody for the TNT Championship, and maybe it might be the night for Jungleboy to get the championship from Kenny Omega. Perfectly good there. Next up, we had the Young Bucks promo. This was gold. I love this promo so much. So it's Matt and Nick are there. Brandon Cutler is standing behind them. Matt mentions that they're the team that the trolls are calling they call them overrated. He says that what makes them special is the violence what makes this run special is the violence they've brought out. They talk about all the people they've beaten down. Says that their kids are cuter than Moxley's baby, which I thought was funny. And throughout this entire thing, Brandon keeps trying to cut in to talk, and they like basically tell him to buzz off until like the final thing. They're talking about Penta and Kingston, that they have to fight them next week, and it's like, that's not even a tag team. And Brandon says something along the lines of bringing table scraps and presenting it as a gourmet meal, and Nick is like, no, we'll keep that one. That was a good one. and then Nick at the end, what the fuck, is like, Baka! Baka! What was that?
I don't know. Did you see when they showed the match graphic for the match next week that they have new Young Bucks images in those ultra douchey white ring outfits?
Yeah.
They look like such phenomenal douchebags.
Yeah, so it's great. I love that Nick, I love that he has his septum pierced now, which is just hilarious. Yeah. And now he had a chain going from his earring to the brim of his hat. Like a and then Matt was wearing 2 hoop earrings, dangling hoops. Is like, they just look like the total biggest douchebags. It is great.
They're just leaning all the way into it and trying to be as douchey as possible.
It is awesome. They're great at it. Next up, we have Tony is in the ring. He has Tully with him. And then Tony introduces Conan. And Conan... I was not expecting that one. So,
no, I was not either.
Conan comes out. Tully is the first to talk. He says, last time I saw you, you were trying to interfere in a bar room, but, I'll let you say your piece first. Conan talks up Proud and Powerful. He makes a sheep banging joke that FTR grew up in North Carolina, where the men are men and the sheep are scared. That is what he said. Okay, something about vegan beef in North Carolina. I have no idea what he's talking about. He talks about the incarceration rates of minorities, says that Tully may be a mentor to FTR, but Conan is like a father to Santana and Ortiz. He says something in Spanish and then says to Tully, you should learn Spanish so you'll be able to communicate with your grandkids. Which is very inside baseball right there, because Tully's
daughter Tessa is engaged to Daga.
Married. They got married in August.
Oh, they got married?
Yes.
Oh, I did not know. Congratulations.
So, been almost a year. Tully then says Conan doesn't know who he's dealing with, and his guys will come out here and take you out whenever I want. Conan says to Tully, yeah, well, when this is all over, at least Walmart is still hiring greeters. So Tully can go to get a job for that.
Is that I don't think Walmart has hired greeters for like years.
Yeah, I don't see one at my Walmart. So Conan calls Santana and Ortiz to come out. They come out in tracksuits and masks, which right away I'm like, that's FTR. Tully says, you need to look up at the big screen. Santana and Ortiz, they're all beaten up in the back, and it's actually FTR that came out. And then they gave Conan, the guy who was on death's door like a month and a half ago, a spike pile driver.
So are they building to FTR and Tully against Santana, Ortiz, and Conan?
God, I hope not, because there's no way I want to see Conan in the ring, and I don't want to see Tully in the ring again. Tully was fine in what they did, but I really don't want to see Conan. Conan, I'm surprised they let him take a bump after what has happened to him in the past 4 months.
I was surprised. Look, if Conan, the only reason I say no is that it's going to fuck it up. If Conan wrestles on Dynamite, it's going to fuck up Yuji Nagata being the last Nitro alum to wrestle on Dynamite. So.
All right. Next up, we have Dante Martin versus Matt Sydal. Well, we're going to, because Dante Martin comes out. He's in the ring. And then, of course, Vicky comes out, bitching like usual. And she has Andrade El Idolo with her and says, tonight we have a huge announcement. And then Matt Sydal's music hits, thankfully. And he comes out, he stares down Andrade a little bit, and Vicky has to hold him back. Like, he took his sunglasses off, and he's pissed, and Vicky holds him back. He puts his shades back on, and they turn around and leave. I think at this point, Vicky needs to tone back the shtick, because she's better than the shtick she does.
Yes. And it appeared like this was going toward Andrade versus Matt Sydal, which sounds fantastic, so I am all in on that.
That is what I took out of this as well. But as far as, I think Vicky, if she's going to stay with Andrade, she needs to drop the high-pitched squealing and take more of a page out of Jake Roberts' playbook and be a calm, methodical speaker instead of a shrill, shrieking one.
Yeah, I don't care for... I don't know, her being with Nyla is whatever. I don't know. I don't think she particularly adds anything to this act so far. Maybe I'll have my mind changed. We'll see. I assume the announcement was going to be Andrade's, TV debut, which I'm probably Miami. They're going to load down that Miami show?
Probably, because I think that's the one with the worst moving tickets.
Yeah, they've been announcing a lot of stuff for that show, so yeah, I would not be surprised if that is announced next week.
Yeah. All right, then we do get the match of Matt Sydal and Dante Martin, and this was a banger. This was awesome.
I love this, but this was it felt like a really good cruiserweight match on Nitro.
Yeah, because they started off with some mat wrestling, but everything that they were doing was like an amped up variation of the normal rolling that you would see.
Dude, and Matt Sydal has been a professional wrestler for all of Dante Martin's life.
Yes.
Dante Martin is 20 years old, and Matt Sydal has been wrestling for 20 years. That's incredible. And man, this was just awesome. I love this.
Martin hit when he was going in to hit the ropes, he actually jumped and did a springboard off the bottom into a drop kick. Sydal worked the leg, hits a corkscrew splash for a 2 count. Dante hits a suplex, flips Sydal all the way around, so he adds another 180-degree rotation, so he lands face first. We get the bow and arrow stretch from Sydal. When back to their feet, Dante charges in, and Sydal just throws his leg up and wipes him out with a lariat with the leg. Like a face-on lariat instead of like the kind of the side moving lariat that you normally see from like a guy from Booker T, or who else does that? Mostly Booker T. Sydal works various holds. Dante throws some leg kicks. Dante then catches a kick from Matt, picks him up straight into a Death Valley driver. We get a double springboard moonsault from Dante for a 2 count. Sydal hits a Meteora off the top, but only gets a 2. Then we have an awesome, like, flying sunset flip from Dante for a 2 count. And then a flip over stunner for a 2 count. Dante misses a double stomp off the top, jams his knee. This gives Sydal the opening to hit the lightning spiral, and he gets the victory. This match was really fun. I heard that the match on Dark was really good. I might have to go back and watch it because I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I don't know if I saw that either. I think it's only like the second time ever that they had a match on Dark that was so good that they had to do a rematch on Dynamite.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a win. This was good stuff.
And like you said, it looks like Andrade will be first match will probably be Matt Sydal, something like that.
Yeah,
should be a good one. Next up, we have a quick promo from Jungleboy. It's just a pre-tape. He says that tonight's probably the biggest night of his life. Christian steps in, asks how he's feeling. He says he's a little nervous, but happy. And Christian says, you shouldn't be happy. You should be pissed off because some people think that you don't deserve this spot. And one of them is Kenny Omega. You shocked the world once getting here. Now you need to do it again to and become the AEW World Champion. Christian coming off a little jealous, kind of in his word, or at least his delivery. His words could go either way.
Yeah, and I don't know. I've kind of had that impression this whole program that they're kind of keeping that route available if they choose to, but maybe maybe it's something for down the line, or maybe they don't know yet. But
maybe they're waiting to
storytelling.
Yeah, maybe they're waiting to see what the reaction to Christian is once they get on the road, and then they'll push him one way or the other. They'll just go with whatever the audience flow is, I think.
Yeah, that would be smart.
Next up, we have a promo from Jade. They have a promo code for AEW Shop, and I don't give a shit.
I wrote Jade is still that bitch.
Yep. And the promo code for 10% off in AEWshop.com is that B.
That B.
Did you know that the promo code for the Four Seasons in Toronto was real? Because the Cons bought that hotel recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the promo code is real because they do own that hotel. It wasn't just like some random throw off. So I guess you could really use that bitch promo code at the Four Seasons in Toronto.
You're closer than I am.
Yeah, that's actually still a long way from me. So I'm not going up there. And I'm American and probably can't get to Canada because they still have the border closed. I don't know. All right. Alex is with MJF, Spears, and Wardlow, and MJF says people didn't tune into the show to listen to you, Alex, and he called him pig puke or pig vomit or something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember.
So
he's such a dude.
Alex Marvez is like the Kevin Kelly during Rock interviews, basically.
Yeah.
Basically,
Alex Marvez is going to be like the best announcer in the business 20 years from now.
I don't. Probably not. I don't think so. Basically, MJF is celebrating Sammy getting beaten up and Santana Ortiz, and then he talks about, why are people so mad at me taking out Dean and giving him an early retirement? It will be good for him.
He's such an evil douche.
Mentions that Dean has heart problems and Parkinson's. And then Jericho and Hager attack. They brawl out to the ring. Eventually, Jericho and Hager are beaten down. MJF holds Jericho's arm, and Spears is about to hit it with a chair against the mat. Sammy runs out, beats down on Spears, hits Wardlow with a massive chair shot. Hits Spears with the chair. MJF runs off. Sammy grabs the mic and says, "Hey, assholes! On Wednesday, this company is going to find out what I already know. They chose the wrong guy for the posters, the wrong guys for the action figure. You like to say that you're the best and you know it. Well, on Wednesday, I'll show you that I'm the best ever, and you know it."
Yeah, man. Another fiery babyface promo from Sammy. I got me hyped for that match, which was, the goal. Yeah, Sammy and MJF next week, I am down for.
This from Miro was freaking awesome. I wrote this down
so much.
I wrote this down word for word because it was so damn good.
Please, go on.
He says, "Before I get to Brian Pillman, I thank God for keeping me powerful and my hot wife flexible." I promise to use his backing against those deemed to deserve it. People preventing me from helping a woman in need, which Penelope was not in need, or people trying to attack me for no reason, which is funny because he was the one who was doing the attacking. People like Brian Pillman Jr. You may be ranked number 1 in the tag team division, but you're about to find out that standing between a righteous man and his path is like standing between a cleaver and his meat. You did not respect the champion, and we'll have to talk about that next week on Dynamite One-on-One. You're going to find out why I am the Redeemer, and I am God's favorite champion. So go ahead and lie to the world and tell them that you're not afraid, when we both know that the bravest thing that you've done in your life is thinking about attacking me. The stupidest was actually doing it.
This was fucking phenomenal. I love Miro. Gran Akuma, the former independent wrestler who was a great follow on Twitter, pointed out, what they're doing with Miro now is as good as what they were doing with him was bad. And
yes.
He's portrayed as a killer, and he comes off like a killer in his promos. Like, it's
the greatest thing, though.
Very happy
yeah,
that it was what Rusev could have been.
Yes,
it's just crazy violent killer. It's great.
And it's amazing because how quickly they have turned Miro around, and basically that the past year didn't hurt him one bit.
Yeah, it didn't.
It got where they needed to go. They had to put him in a holding pattern anyways because there was nowhere for him at the time when he came in. They used him, did some stuff, and now he's where he needs to be.
Yeah.
I think it worked out.
Just gave him some stuff to do until it was time to do something with him, and as soon as it was time, they flipped the switch, and it's been awesome ever since.
Next up, we had Ethan Page with Scorpio Sky versus Bear Bronson with Bear Boulder on the outside for him. This was a fun match. I kind of want to see more of Bear Country at this point. They're like AEW's Heavy Machinery.
I really like Bear Country. I think they've got a ton of potential men. That is a team that I think would benefit greatly from doing a World Tag League.
Yes. That would be awesome. They lock up. They get pushed into the corner. Page hits Bronson with a slap, and that just pisses Bronson off. He beats the crap out of Ethan in the corner, takes him down in the middle of the ring, hits a big power slam for a 2 count, and then Bronson runs Ethan between a couple of turnbuckles on the outside, goes back and forth between a couple of them, and then Sky pushes Ethan Page out of the way when he's on the outside. Bronson doing a dive through the second rope and just wipes out Sky, and he crashes hard into the barricade backwards.
The Scorpio Sky, this awful heel, just an utterly selfless act, he got hit by a fucking rocket. Ethan
is looking over things and he's backing away. He backs into Bear Boulder, and then he tells the ref, he touched me, and the ref turns and is yelling at trying to sort things out with Bear Boulder, and this is when Scorpio Sky attacks Bear Bronson from behind. He gets thrown into the barricade, a bit of back and forth throughout the commercial. Page hits a big head kick and has to try a couple times to drop Bronson with a shoulder tackle. Bronson comes back and hits backdrops out of an Ego's Edge attempt. Bronson beats up on Page, hits a splash in the corner, hits a bunch of clubbing lariats to the back and then to the front, to the back, to the front, to the back. But he misses a running senton, and then he just does a sit-down drop, a bonsai drop onto his chest. I thought that was it for Ethan Page. I thought that was the end of the match right there, because that would have sucked so much.
Yeah.
But he only got a 2 count. Paige hits a superplex on Bronson for a 2 count. Bronson hits a kind of a swinging around the world
Boss Man Slam. It was awesome.
Boss Man Slam, yep. Bronson starts to go back up top, but Sky jumps up on the apron, which distracts Bronson for a second. Boulder jumps up on the apron to fight with Sky. This pulls the attention of the ref for a second. And when that happens, Ethan Page, low blow from behind while he's standing on the second rope, pulls him down, hits the Ego's edge, and gets the victory. And then they also did a replay of the low blow, like slow motion punching the guy in the nuts.
I love that he does the Razor's Edge as a finish. Ever since I was a kid, I just thought that was the coolest move ever.
Yes, I always love that move too. I remember one time when Razor Ramon just killed a jobber so bad because he actually didn't let go early enough, and the jobber way over rotated and like friggin', you know, just his knees. He kissed it. Well, he kissed his ass basically. He kissed his own ass basically. It was awful. He folded like an accordion. Anyways, this match was fun.
Even like years before I ever started like watching wrestling, I would get like the video games. I would put like Royal Rumble on Sega Genesis, and like just Razor Ramon was like the guy that I thought was the coolest. So I've always had a soft spot for Scott Hall and for the Razor's Edge.
Anything else with this match?
No, other than Ethan Page is really, really good.
Yeah, so really the big news is after the match is over, Scorpio Sky grabs a mic, says, "Hey, that's my guy!" And then Page says, "I'm not stupid." The crowd chants it. "Yes, you are! Yes, you are!" He says, "I'm not stupid. I know for a fact that Darby Allin, you're not done with me. To be honest, pinning you is not enough for me. Darby, I've been saying week after week, I'm going to be the nail in your coffin." And he says it, "I'll be a nail in your coffin. I'll be the nail in your coffin." And then he says, "So, why don't I just put you in one?" And then he challenges Darby to a coffin match on July 7th. So for the first casket match / coffin match in AEW history happening on the 7th.
I just know that Darby is gonna do a fucking coffin drop and just hit the top of the coffin, and I hope he doesn't. Shawn Michaels' back.
What if he lays out Ethan Page, puts him in the coffin, and then does a coffin drop onto Ethan Page in the coffin?
No, that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Yeah, coffin match on the 7th. So
that's Miami. Road Rager.
Yes, Road Rager. Next up, we have a quick segment with Britt. She called her Reba again, where she called her Rebel during the celebration with the cheeseburgers. So she knows both names. I think she just screwed it up last time. So Britt says, "There's a million things that I would have asked for from Tony Khan if he owed me a favor. But Vicky, you asked for a match. We don't need old chicks in the ring. But don't worry. I'll send you home with a nice prescription."
Building a match that no one wants to see that will build to another match that nobody wants to see.
Vicky says,
setting the world on fire so far. I think they announced the title match for, it said Fyter Fest Night 2, which I think is Dallas.
Yeah, the 28th. No, it's Fyter Fest. I don't know the order of everything. Is it Road Rager, Fight for the Fallen, Fyter Fest, or is it Road Rager, Fyter Fest 2, and then Fight for the Fallen?
The second one.
Okay. So that would be the 21st then. Vicky says that the tag match is just an appetizer to solidify Nyla's claim to the AEW title at Fyter Fest Night 2. And then Nyla says that they'll be in there with the beast, but watch out for the claws of the cougar.
Yeah.
This match better be Nyla gets in, pins Rebel in 15 seconds, and that's the end of it.
Yes, it better be. It really better be.
Next up, we had the Bunny with Blade at ringside versus Kris Statlander with Orange Cassidy at ringside. They mention that Trent has undergone spinal surgery for spinal stenosis, unfortunately.
Neck surgery.
So that is a huge bummer after just coming back from the pec tear that he had. So they mention that Chuck E.T. is with Trent at the hospital, so that will explain why they aren't there. Kris got her own music back, so they didn't use Orange Cassidy's music, but Orange Cassidy did come out with Kris Statlander. Basically, the match starts off. Bad things happen to the Bunny for quite some time. She just paintbrushes Statlander and then ends up eating a kick from Statlander. She hits a vertical suplex, some forearms in the corner. Bunny basically then gives Kris Statlander a cheeky Nando's kick. She pulled her head down. And
I noted it. She did the cheeky Nando's kick. I have to say, the Bunny's entrance, she gets in the ring and she does that pose, and she just looks like a soulless psychopath, and it really hits for me.
And gorgeous. A gorgeous psychopath.
Yeah.
Statlander gets run into the turnbuckle. Bunny hits a running sliding lariat into the corner. She gets a 2 count when she pulls her out from the corner. We get some mounted strikes from the Bunny, twisting neck breaker for a 2 count. Kick to the back of the head. She starts stomping on Kris Statlander's hand. She hits a running raising knee strike. She clotheslines Statlander over the top to the floor. But when she goes out to the floor, Statlander hits a snap power slam onto the floor. They are both slow to get back into the ring. Once they do, they get into a striking exchange. We have a cross-leg Falcon Arrow from Statlander for a 2. Bit of a sloppy Blue Thunder Bomb for a 2 count. I don't think Bunny helped enough to get herself up to get the full rotation. Statlander starts climbing the ropes. Bunny runs up behind her, throws her off with a German suplex, hits a thrust kick to the face for a 2. Blade then jumps up onto the ring apron, which the ref goes over to talk to him to get him off the rope. He tosses the brass knucks into the Bunny. Bunny picks him up, holds him over her head, but Orange Cassidy has gotten into the ring and snags them from out of her hand, puts them in his pocket, and he rolls out of the ring, and Bunny turns around, and Statlander kicks her, picks her up, and hits the Big Bang Theory and gets the victory. I thought this was fine. There were a couple spots where the two of them did not work very well together. That Falcon Arrow looked almost bad, and then that Blue Thunder Bomb, the landing was fine for Bunny. Bunny was fine. They just didn't complete the full rotation to get her around on the horizontal axis. The vertical axis, she was fine, but the horizontal, they didn't finish.
But those spots notwithstanding, I thought that Allie looked more like a wrestler here than I've seen her in a long time.
Yeah.
Like, I think she's really coming along in the ring, and she's coming along with, I don't know, when they started the Bunny, the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny, this is like much better than I did not think that I would be this into the Bunny character, but this was good. And then we had a good piece of business after, too.
Yeah, I mean, the whole Butcher, Blade, and Bunny, it was, they stumbled a bit early on, and now I think this threesome is just like a really good group, and it worked out in the end.
I assume the Butcher is injured. Do we know what the injury?
I don't know what is up with the Butcher.
He hasn't been around lately.
Yeah, he hasn't. I don't know. I'm not sure what's up with him.
He's injured, or his band is touring again.
Yeah.
I hope it's his band. They're a really good tag team. And man, I was. I know you're gonna. So the angle, Blade jumps Orange. Hybrid 2 come out to help. No best friends because of reasons that we established. And then the Hybrid 2 hold Orange, and Blade gets a knucks back, and he knocks the fuck out of Orange with those brass knuckles. And I could not believe how hyped this got me for an Orange Cassidy versus the Blade match.
Yes. So I'm guessing that's where they're going.
Yeah.
The thing is, here, we suddenly have a massive shift in Orange Cassidy's focus. Jake in the chat on YouTube says thumb injury for, I'm guessing, the Butcher. Which that is not good when you're a guitar player. Anyways, they have made a massive shift in Orange Cassidy's direction because he still had Kenny Omega in his sights as of like a week ago.
Well, we'll get to the angle at the end of the show, but by the end of the show, it appears that there is a possibility that the Elite is in cahoots with the Hardy office. So maybe that's going to come around to mean something there.
True. I did not think of that part. So I guess we could kind of get around somewhere. But I still want to see Orange Cassidy versus Kenny Omega at some point.
I mean, yeah, definitely. And you know what? They maybe they'll explain this last week. Maybe that was, a deal that Big Money Matt made with Don Callis and Kenny Omega that he was going to have his guys take out Orange Cassidy, and then maybe there's some kind of relationship there. And that makes sense, because who was Matt Hardy aligned with when he came into AEW? The Elite.
Yes, true. All right, next up we had Tony was with QT Marshall in a pre-tape. They're talking about how Brock Anderson got the win on his debut last week, and QT's like, that was very touching. Brock Anderson giving his daddy a big old hug, and it gets better. TNT voted that Brock Anderson was the wrestler of the week. Funny, a couple weeks ago I pinned Cody Rhodes in the middle, but my daddy isn't the enforcer now, is he? Tony then says, well, in 2 weeks you have a South Beach strap match with Cody, and QT is like, yeah, that's in 2 weeks. Let's talk about today. You see, Cody's not here doing the work like I am, and I know Hollywood's running around like crazy, he has to do all these auditions, and for the love of God, somebody cast him in one of those geeky superhero films so I never have to see him around here again, because only then and only then can I accomplish my true dream to be a champion in AEW.
Cody's got to at least get a spot in one of these Marvel Disney Plus series, right? Everybody's. Watched the first 2 episodes of Low Key last night. Freaking Owen Wilson is in there. Everybody is in the MCU. So, yeah.
Yeah. I thought this was good from QT. QT came off like a total dick, and
I don't know, man. I don't know why some people are down on QT. He's so good.
He's awesome.
Yeah, seriously.
But like every podcast I listen to, everybody's like, why is this on my TV? QT, get off my TV. I'm like, no, QT, stay on my TV, because he is like one of the best things.
I would rather have QT on my TV than a lot of these people.
He was actually on Unrestricted last week. I don't know if you listened to it on Thursday, so a couple days ago. Did you listen to it?
I need to.
He was talking about the failure of the bunny angle. Because they're like, everybody knows in real life we're married to other people, and it just started to fall apart, so that's why they scrapped it, basically.
Yeah, that was the shit.
Yeah.
I'm glad they can admit it.
Yes. So they announce July 7th, QT and Cody in the South Beach strap match. Next week, Vicky and Nyla versus Britt and Rebel. Brian Pillman Jr. versus Miro for the TNT Championship. Brian Pillman has a promo. We'll talk about that in a second. MJF versus Sammy Guevara, and the Young Bucks versus Penta and Eddie Kingston. If they win in the 20-minute time limit regular TV match, then they get a title shot.
I've been saying that somebody's going to have to win one of those eventually. I think it might be this one.
I would not be down on that.
Because, yeah.
Or I would be down for that. I don't know. I'd be okay with that happening.
They've beaten, they beat Pac and Phoenix, they beat Pac and Penta, they beat Moxley and Kingston. some combination of these guys have got to get a win, and with these shows going on the road, yeah, imagine they're going to want a tag title match in a few weeks. So, I think this might be the one.
The Young Bucks just posted a brand new bio. It says, should they put us versus Eddie and Penta on Dark? Isn't that where you do squash matches? That is their new Twitter bio.
The bios are gold.
Yeah. So, actually, during this, right after they mentioned the Pillman-Miro match, Pillman had a quick promo, says that, Miro, you're sounding like you have a Messiah complex. Well, I got a complex too. It's called being born on the wrong side of the tracks, fighting for everything I have, and that means sticking up for my friends. So next week, Miro, you're going to have to check your ego because I'm going to beat you for your TNT title.
Pillman, like, he does good promos when he's in these positions, but they do not go as strong with him as they need to, even if he's not winning any of these big positions. Like, I thought they could have gone harder with the Young Bucks match. I was saying last week, like, they could really do something to heat this up next week, and they didn't really, and I'm just disappointed that, like I said, it comes from, just recently watching the Brian Pillman episode of Dark Side of the Ring, and Pillman Jr. just comes off so well, and you want to succeed, and like, I really just think that they are passing on an opportunity to strike while somebody is hot by not doing something significant with him.
Yeah, this is one of those times that I would not advocate for this often, but this is one of the times where I think that Miro should have beaten the shit out of him backstage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just something like that. Just to throw some heat on this. Yeah. So we then go to commercial. We come back. Kingston and Penta have a video promo. Eddie says, Matt and Nick, you serious? You're talking about all the people you've taken out? Yes, but you took out them in wrestling. Not in real life. I've done that. There's really only one thing you guys care about, and that's your ego. And those tag titles feed that ego. So the best thing we can do for you guys is to take them from you. And then Alex Abrahantes is with them as well. So Penta gives his lines in Spanish. And then Alex says, Penta says, Young Bucks, you talk a lot about those you run over. But next week, we run over you.
Indeed.
All right. Then we have Jungleboy versus Kenny Omega for the AEW World Championship. We have Marco and Luchasaurus coming out with Jungleboy. We have Dawn and the Good Brothers coming out with Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega comes out with all of his gold on him. So it's been a while since we've had that. Justin Roberts' lower third actually says the Dapper Yapper. So
I just gotta first Jungle Boy's entrance, fucking superstar. And they did the ring intros, and JR made a crack about Justin Roberts having too much chocolate today, and I was mixing a glass of chocolate milk when he said that, so that made me chuckle.
I always love he calls him the Dapper Yapper, and they actually did give Justin Roberts a lower third when he started his ring announcements, and it did say quote unquote Dapper Yapper Justin Roberts. Jungle Boy here, his family was there, his mom and sister were there in the front row. He comes out to huge crowd engagement. Reading his lips when he came out onto the stage, the first thing he yells is, "Let's fucking go!" That's definitely what he said. He was there. They say on commentary if it goes past the end of TV time, they will stick with the match. So if it goes past 10 o'clock, we're staying with it. I love when they do that, even if they're not going to do it. At least they say it. Even if it doesn't
do it someday, though.
They've done it before. They've run over a couple times, not by much, maybe 3 or 4 minutes, but they've done it before. So the bell rings, and the Good Brothers are still standing up on basically the apron, but where the where the entrance butts up to the apron. So they're still technically standing on the entrance, but it's at the same level as the apron. And it looks like they might jump in. So Marco preemptively runs into the ring, and then the ref is really mad, and he tosses Marco. And Luchasaurus is up on the apron and yelling at the ref, like, no, he didn't even do anything. And he gets tossed, and then the Good Brothers are a little too overjoyed, so the ref tosses them as well. So the ref tosses all the seconds out, so now it's just Kenny Omega and Jungle Boy. Omega is yelling at the ref after he does this. He pushes the ref, and then the ref pushes back, and Omega falls on his ass. I am not sure if he was supposed to fall on his ass. I think he probably was, but it was great that he just what do they call it in hockey? Embellishment, right? In hockey, yeah. when you take a dive, it's called embellishment. He embellished the push from the ref, which I thought was great. So we start off. Omega and Jungle Boy lock up. Omega pushes Jungle Boy right into the corner, and before the break, Omega is gently taking Jungle Boy's hair out of his own eyes for him, which I thought was a nice little piece right there. They both work some wrist locks. Omega pulls Jungle Boy down by the hair. We get some strikes in the corner from Omega. Jungle Boy turns it around, gets a couple in as well, but Omega then thumbs him in the eye. Jungle Boy misses a springboard arm drag, but then he does come back and hits his kind of Arabian moonsault arm drag. Arabian springboard arm drag, I guess we can call it. Hits that. They then go to the he hits a drop kick, sending Omega to the outside. He was gonna go for a dive. Omega ducks and then pulls Jungle Boy out when he stops against the ropes. They fight on the outside. Omega whips Jungle Boy towards the post, but he actually slipped through. Sami Zayn does that move, right? Where he jumps through between the ropes and the mat, yes, by the post, then hits a swinging DDT. Well, this basically Jungle Boy did the slide, and then he ducked out. He landed on the other side, but he ducked down, and as soon as Omega rounds the corner, Jungle Boy gives him a shotgun drop kick into the barricade, yeah, and gives him another one into the barricade. Omega gives Jungle Boy a backdrop on the ring stairs, and then throws Jungle Boy into the first row. A little dangerous, because I don't think those were plants. Because there was like an old lady there that I had never seen before. Not a very old lady. She was probably like in her mid-50s, but was definitely not a wrestler.
Maybe it was a stunt granny.
I guess.
That's an inside joke that somebody watching this will get.
A little dangerous, because I don't think they were plants, but back into the ring, Omega starts throwing some strikes, misses the moonsault part of the You Can't Escape. Jungle Boy tries a running senton. Omega gets his knees up, hits Jungle Boy with a slam for a 2 count. Jungle Boy then counters another, he picks him up on his shoulders. Jungle Boy then counters that into a small package. And then a really quick, vertical brain buster. That was awesome. That was such a great one. Hits a drop kick to the knee. Fights out of a Snapdragon attempt. Hits a diving elbow to the outside. And then a regular tope. Hits a swinging DDT back in the ring. Omega rolls out. Hits a tope con hilo after that. Rolls Omega back into the ring, and then he climbs the turnbuckle, but Kenny goes after him. They fight over the top. Omega hits a cross-leg superplex for a 2 count. Jungle Boy avoids a V-trigger. lands on his feet out of a suplex attempt, and then hits a super kick. But then Omega hits a standing V-trigger, hits a Snapdragon, hits another V-trigger. Omega lifts Jungle Boy for the one-winged angel. Jungle Boy hits him with a poison Rana out of it. Jungle Boy then hits a sliding lariat to the back of the head for a 2 count. And then Jungle Boy goes for a ripcord something, but Omega hits him with the V-trigger, power bomb, V-trigger for a 2 count. Jungle Boy catches a V-trigger, gets on the snare trap. Good Brothers start making their way out towards the ring, but are cut off by Frankie Kazarian, the Elite Hunter, and the Jurassic Express. So they all fight to the back. So this is the second time in this show where the intended interference didn't become interference, which it got cut off and never actually took place. Jungle Boy... So Omega gets to the ropes. Jungle Boy pulls Omega back out to the middle. Omega hits him with an up kick. They exchange strikes when they get to their feet. V-trigger from Kenny. Rebound clothesline from Jungle Boy. Brainbuster from Kenny for a 2 count. We get a V-trigger from Kenny. Jungle Boy counters a one-winged angel into a sunset flip for a 2. Right into the snare trap on the kick out. Omega pulls the hair and pokes the eyes to get out of that. Jungle Boy sets Omega up on the top, but Omega drops him face first on the top turnbuckle. V-trigger to the back of the head when he's in the corner. Tiger Driver 98 for a 2 count. And then he picks him up, hits the one-winged angel, and Kenny Omega gets the victory in about 18 minutes or so. This match was great. I thought this was a really, really good match. Great showing from Jungle Boy. I like the Japan style. Lets him kick out of the Tiger Driver 98 right before getting hit with the one-winged angel.
Yeah. I like that finish too. Comes up the top rope. Jungle Boy eats they're doing the thing in the corner. Jungle Boy he ate that top turnbuckle. And then the V-trigger and the Tiger Driver 98, and he kicked out, but that was all he had left. And it was immediately one-winged angel pin, and yeah, this was fantastic.
Anything about the match specifically?
Nothing that you haven't already said. Just a fantastic match. Jungle Boy looked great. Kenny Omega is Kenny Omega. This was great.
Post-match, Omega has his belt. He looks like he's winding up to hit Jungle Boy when he gets to stand up. But before that happens, Christian runs out and stops it. But then Private Party and Matt Hardy run out and attack Christian. Christian is about to hit the kill switch on Hardy. And when he does the twist around, he ends up eating a super kick party from the Young Bucks. And then Hardy does hit him with a twist of fate. As well, and they all seem a little buddy with the Hardy family office, as you said, between the Elite. It looks like there's a little bit of doesn't look like there's contention between the two groups at the moment.
I'm gonna read the sentence. Omega goes to butt gun with the belt, but a Christian saves. I know what I was trying to say there, but if I didn't, I wouldn't know what I was trying to say.
I know I'm a very dyslexic typer, but that one's pretty bad.
It goes with, I tend to I usually, a lot of the time, I just watch stuff on my iPad, which means I'm walking around with my phone, taking notes in a document and doing, swipe and stuff. So, yeah, sometimes weird stuff happens in my notes.
Anyways, this ending, as you kind of mentioned, it seems, the Matt Hardy did come in aligned with the Elite. Now they're both heels. Is there some sort of deal between the Hardy family office and the Elite, or is it just kind of the bleed between the Christian storyline, Jungle Boy storyline, Matt Hardy storyline, Elite storyline? This is just an entire bleed over, and nothing will actually come of it. They just don't have. It's the enemy of the enemy of my enemy is my friend type of deal at the moment.
But 9 times out of 10, when AEW does something that you think means something, it means something. So, we'll see. But, I have, like I said, they've earned a lot of booking goodwill, so I'm optimistic that this will, it makes sense either way, but it's a better story if they're in cahoots, at least as far as, a business relationship.
All right, let's talk about pushing some of these storylines out. Where do you think you're going on a few of these things? So let's start off with just the first match of the night. We have Powerhouse Hobbs. Obviously, there's tension within Team Taz. How long are we going to go with Brian Cage having issues with Team Taz before he splits out of Team Taz? Or is that what is actually going to happen?
How long until Ricky Starks is ready to wrestle?
Don't know. It's broken neck, so it could be a couple more weeks before he's finished heel, or a couple months.
Yeah, because the heat is clearly Cage and Starks. Mm-hmm. So, I assume that it'll be close to the time that Starks is able to wrestle again, that they'll do the split.
And then Adam Page, he's kind of getting his wins back under him. He is probably ranked number 2 on the list right now. Did you see Being the Elite this past week?
No.
So, 10, who is a coke fiend, he had a special platter of Coke that was not just Coke, but something else. It was very shiny and had some rainbow specks in it. He goes into the lair of the Dark Order where they're all hanging out in the, that bar area. He trips and it goes over everybody. So everybody ends up having like a trip sequence, which is just hilarious. Some of them were pretty damn funny. You should go back and watch it. But the biggest one, the last one, was Hangman Page. He is tripping balls, and his trip, he walks into the Dark Order's lair. All the Dark Order are standing there, and they're all like kind of looking at him, and then they part, and the AEW title is sitting on the bar. So that was what happened. That's kind of the biggest plot point that happened. And he's been conflicted about going after the title. So Hangman Page, how long are they going to push him out until he finally clashes with Omega? Are we going full gear?
They have just released the replica AEW World Championship belt. I need it. It's fucking expensive.
Yes. If somebody wants to send it to me, I'll shoot you my P.O. box address.
PayPal.me/YouPayTrae. If you just want to donate to that fund. I hadn't thought about it. People started bringing that up. Is that the main event for All Out? And that looks like it may be where they're going. I don't know that it's time for that yet. I don't know that it's time for that yet.
I don't think so either.
It's not time for Hangman to win the title. It's not time for Omega to lose the title. It doesn't feel like it's time to do that match. Now, if they do it, I can see you can make it work, that Hangman loses again and you hold it off. Because I'm thinking, maybe like next February or May, will be the time for that match.
Right. That's... I'm going more by it's not time for Omega to lose the title versus it's not Hangman's time to get the title. Because Hangman's time to get the title could happen at any time, but the problem is it's not time for Omega to lose the title. So what do you do in that balancing act, and how long can you put it out? Can you have Hangman lose at All Out and then build him for Revolution or Double or Nothing next year?
There's a thought that I had that Omega beats Page at All Out, like just like probably some kind of fuck finish with the Young Bucks or whoever, and then he has got to fight his way back into contention. And presumably, it's going to be an annual event in the fall when they do that.
Winter is
World
coming.
Championship Eliminator tournament.
Oh yeah.
That that last year in the final when Omega beat Page, that Page wins the tournament this year and he gets the big end of the year title shot, and that was just a scenario that popped into my head and my fantasy brain.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's kind of a hard thing to do. They're going to have to balance it out and make sure that they can have the run up for Page to get built up into title contention when they want it, or if he loses at All Out, if they do that match, build him again somehow to make him legit and to beat Omega. It's gonna be interesting to see how they continue that balancing act between not time for Omega to lose it, but Hangman can win it at any point, type of deal, and not kill Hangman if we hold it off too long.
Do you think we will have 6-man tag titles by the end?
God, I hope so.
I hope so. I think so. Like I've pretty much heard that like they're happening and everybody knows it's going to happen. It's just kind of a question of when.
I would do it at either. I would debut them at either All Out, the 2-year anniversary show of Dynamite, or at Full Gear. Full Gear is probably the place to do it, but
are they doing the Jericho cruise? Because that was
right.
Talked about, originally did, but yeah, I love 6-man tag titles, and AEW needs. They have all those great factions.
Yeah. What else? So as far as the Pinnacle versus Inner Circle, we're getting MJF versus Sammy. Does Sammy pull out the victory here? MJF has only had one singles loss in AEW ever. But it looks like they're still going to be building towards MJF versus Jericho again, probably at All Out.
I think MJF has got to win, and they'll spin off, and probably some kind of Shawn Spears involvement, because Sammy and Spears is the direction, and so I think MJF beats Sammy here to move it towards Jericho and MJF and towards Sammy and Spears.
You don't think that's going to hurt Sammy too much by taking the loss? No. Yeah, I'm torn on that one because I think Sammy needs the win, and I don't think it would hurt MJF, especially if there was a screwy finish and that could come into play, and that sends MJF on the collision course with Jericho.
See, I think that losing would hurt MJF, but it wouldn't hurt Sammy.
Oh,
and especially if they do some kind of fuck, I don't think it's gonna hurt Sammy, especially because is gonna spin him off into Spears, and he's gonna beat Spears, obviously.
Right. Let's see, what else do we have to talk about? Darby Allin, will he not be an idiot and will have Sting at his side for the coffin match?
He better. We haven't seen Sting in like 2 whole weeks.
Holy crap.
That's a record. Oh my god.
Right? Well, maybe we'll go 3 weeks because Darby is going to answer next week, I'm sure, but hopefully there's no Sting there with him. Orange Cassidy, now that he's kind of pulled in this other direction with Blade, are we basically going to have... Well, now Trent is out for at least a year at this point, probably. So Chucky T is basically going to be Orange Cassidy's partner going forward, it would seem. So are we going to have Orange Cassidy versus Blade, and then when Butcher is ready, I'm guessing if it's a thumb injury, it's either a sprain. Even if it's broken, it's still only like 6 weeks for a broken thumb, right? It's not super long healing.
Yeah, maybe they could do that.
So we have Butcher Blade versus Best Friends, or
I think Orange is above a tag team with Chuck Taylor at this point. No offense to Chuck Taylor.
I know
but
that's
like,
kind of
it's a good guy to have, when they're doing a tag match to build to something, but I don't see them being a tag team. I see, Orange continuing to be featured and Chuck Taylor probably getting some wins on Dark, building to losing a match on Dynamite.
And then there was one more match I wanted to just talk about. Oh, okay. So we have the big problem here of the title match that nobody really cares about, and that's Britt versus Nyla. I think they kind of screwed up here not having somebody built to go after Britt once Britt got the title. Like, there's no baby faces ready to take on Britt. Yeah.
Well, at least now it appears like they're getting Kris Statlander ready for Britt. So after we get that, man, Britt and Nyla, that sounds like a rough time.
Yeah, that one sounds like a rough match. They're both pretty green, and it's gonna be a rough one. They're gonna need a lot of coaching on that one, I think, to pull out something. Though, we saw, Penelope and Hikaru Shida had an awesome match, though Hikaru Shida is amazing, so she can pull out something. But if they can do something like whatever they did to prep Penelope for Hikaru Shida, if they can do that again with Nyla and Britt, could probably get something workable out of it.
Britt is green, and Nyla is just not very good.
Yeah, that's kind of a problem, too. But as far as, the rest of the top 5 are all baby faces, but we've seen Britt versus Thunder Rosa 3 times already, so that's not going to happen anytime soon. Tay Conti, she just... What?
That may be the match for All Out.
I was thinking more Full Gear, but yes.
It could be for Full Gear, too. But yeah, that's the match that they can do whenever.
Right. Kris Statlander's probably... I think Kris Statlander might be the All Out match.
I think she might be a TV match before All Out. But maybe, you could be right.
Ty Conti, she just had her match against Shida, so she might have a TV match between All Out and Full Gear, maybe. Ty Conti against Britt.
I think you keep Ty away from Britt until it's time for Britt to lose the title. And I think you get Ty ready to be the one who takes it.
Could. I thought it was going to be Thunder Rosa that takes it. But I don't know. Do you know what her contract status is with NWA?
As far as I know, she is still under contract.
I think it's middle 2022 when her contract is up with NWA. Summer 2022. So I guess it would not be Thunder Rosa probably taking it off of her. So yeah, Ty Conti maybe at Revolution would be something. And then we still, might as well have a rematch against Hikaru Shida at some point. Maybe that's the December, Winter's Coming show type of match.
Definitely. And Riho, she's in the States now.
Yeah.
Getting some more of the Japanese women in would be a good thing.
Yeah. I would definitely like to see Yuka back more on a full-time basis. Yuka Sakazaki, that'd be great to see. You could build Lila Hirsch a bit. She could be a fun one.
She's one, and you really could. You could do that as like a TV match, Britt and Layla.
Yeah, Layla could just throw Britt around for 8 minutes, and then Britt does something dastardly and gets the win.
I really like Layla Hirsch.
Yeah, she's great. And then as far as baby faces, I don't know who else you could have. Serena Deeb could make a try at it and lose. So we do have baby faces. They just really haven't been built at the moment to take that spot.
Yeah.
So
hopefully we're gonna see more direction in the women's division soon.
Yeah, and as far as Kenny Omega's next challenger, we're probably going to have Christian prior to All Out, it looks like. That match might be happening.
Trying to... Where is it? Fight for the Fallen the week after the second Fighter Fit? I don't remember where that is.
The 28th, that one's in the other Texas market. Right?
No, it's the 21st in Austin. No, it's the 14th in Austin and the 28th in Dallas. So it'll be
Charlotte, North Carolina is on the 28th.
Charlotte.
Yeah.
Hey, that'd be... But yeah, I do anticipate Omega and Christian on one of those shows.
Yeah. So, yeah, curious where that goes, who they build up for the all-out challenger to Omega. So, I mean, we have time. It's June 27th right now as we're recording it. All Out is on the September 5th. So we have basically 9 weeks of television. Actually, 5 plus another 4, 9. 10. We have 10 weeks of Dynamite and 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks of Rampage to build to All Out. So we have 14 shows before that happens.
Wouldn't be surprised if they did a title match on first episode of Rampage too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they could do. That's maybe when they could do Christian versus Kenny.
That could be. Yeah, and they Pittsburgh, August Dynamite live August 11th, and then Rampage live August 13th.
Mm-hmm. So actually, there's probably going to be a women's title match because Britt is from Pittsburgh. On one of those shows, yeah. All right. So, anything else you want to discuss before we wrap it up here? Next week, Vicky Nyla versus Britt and Rebel. Whoop-de-doo. But Miro versus Pillman for the TNT Championship. That should be a pretty good one. Sammy versus MJF. That should be actually be a really good match. And then Bucks versus Penta and Kingston. That should be a really good match as well. So we have at least 3 good matches that are happening next week. I'm sure there's probably going to be one or two more that they'll announce sometime in the next couple days.
And we will say farewell for now to Daily's Place.
Yep, the last live show, last show for at least this massive run. I'm sure they're going to hit Daily's Place quite often anyways. I'm actually going to miss Daily's Place.
Yeah.
Because I kind of like the same set. You know, it's become familiar and home to AEW.
Another thing, we talked about last time the New Japan show in Los Angeles. They're also, I think right after that, the next set of Strong tapings are going to be in front of fans.
Yes, so
first time.
Getting fans back is going to be nice. Unfortunately, at least in Japan, it's still going to be rough because they still have ridiculously low vaccination rate, which is crazy for such an advanced country.
And COVID is surging here again. We have a more, what's that word?
The Delta variant.
More communicable strain, this Delta strain.
Yep.
But I think it seems like we've decided as Americans that we're just going to do whatever anybody and be dumb about it.
Yeah. I wear my mask because I don't trust the rest of you.
Yeah. I just leave the house as little as possible.
Well, that too. I work from home, so I never have to leave. So, all right. So, yeah. Thanks everybody for watching and listening to That's Wrestling. If you're listening to this as a podcast, we do this show live over on YouTube and on Twitch, so you can come hang out, add to the conversation in the chat. So follow the links in the show notes for that. You can snag this as a podcast on all your favorite podcast apps. If you can't find it, though, you can head over to that'swrestling.com, snag the RSS feed. Comments, questions, feedback, you can send those to Eric at that'swrestling.com. You can follow us at that'swrestling1 with the number 1 on the Twitter. You can follow Trae at WrestleIsm on Twitter. And Daryl is doing a fundraiser for concussion research, so you can follow the links in that if you're interested. Drop us a review on your favorite podcast app of choice. Also, there is a link to our Discord. You can come hang out, talk wrestling, and all that good stuff throughout the week. So, for Trae Wisecarver, my name is Eric LaRoche, and you have been watching and listening to That's Wrestling. See you later, guys.
Bye.